NFTs are back. Crypto's back. Market is still stagnant. And more importantly, Emblem is back. Adam's still hanging out somewhere across the world, so he is down on Spaces. We got Chris here on the visuals, and we're continuing to grind out new products, releasing every few days. Emblem Scan, Emblem Wrapped, Robinhood NFTs, FWA, Stonk Brokers. Drama, that was interesting. Maybe we'll dive into that. Bankr launching a new token, somewhat interesting here. But more importantly, man, maybe migrations to Robinhood soon. We're kind of everywhere. What's good, Chris?
Yo, what is good? Good to see everyone. Happy Thursday, going into another big weekend. Emblem ecosystem is just growing. I mean, every day the surface area gets bigger and bigger. There's not a chain that we don't touch. There's not some integrations that we don't have. I mean, we have partners all over the map. Our products are just getting better and better. So Epic, I don't actually think that, I think you launched Emblem Scan on Tuesday after the show. Is that right?
Yeah, I think it was after the show. I also made some updates. I've been kind of focusing on the mobile, but so yeah, as interest has been increasing around NFTs, I see a lot of people have been using it. Eric, I think it was Eric Connor, who created EIP 1559, was posting about Emblem Scan. So he likes the interoperability.
Insane. I missed that.
Bro, you got to pin that up top. I want to see that.
He just reposted. Whoa. He just reposted it.
Oh, gotcha. Wow. Nice.
I did see you push some mobile updates last night. I saw it this morning. I saw the bottom toolbar was added. I mean, the things that are possible, just for the audience and everyone listening, Jake is building this with Emblem Build. So, I mean, this is like an insanely high quality product. This is like a $50,000 plus dashboard that he spun up in like 3 days, covering
3 days, literally 3 days.
Covering all of Emblem Vault's history, 10 plus year history, everything in one interface. I mean, this is amazing stuff. If you think that Emblem Build is just for community games and things of that nature, we're just going to continue to push out products that we're using internally so you can see the actual quality that can be made. I mean, this is really amazing stuff. If this was live in 2020, people would be like, holy shit, what is going on here? It's like a Dune dashboard rivalry, you know?
Yeah, it's something that I've wanted for a very long time. And now the agent can just go ahead and index all this stuff. Getting the TVL, right? TVL is down to about 31 mil. At one point, I think it was up around like 200 million and like the peak. NFT days, right? Rare Pepe's down, but you could come in here and sort and see the value, right? Almost half of the Rare Pepe collection is just Rare Pepe's or the Nakamoto card, but it makes sense. There's no way I would have been able to do this by hand because you have to go with cross-chain NFTs. Not only is the metadata impossible, but you have to go back and forth between, oh, is there a listing on OpenSea? If there was no listing, was there sale history? Oh, there's no sale history at either of them. Oh, is there a sale history on Counterparty? Oh, there's no sale history. What's the listing price? Oh, the listing price of this one token is $1 billion. Is that right? You know, like it just continues to go on and on. But I'm glad to have these numbers out. It's something that a lot of people wanted. The revenue numbers are there. Emblem's made about a little over $2 million since 2021 or so. I think that, you know, numbers may be off plus or minus 25%. The agents are good, right? They're not 100% good. So I'm sure there's some stuff that was missed, but I'm going to continue iterating and curating on this. over time. Migrate Fund, 840K in revenue. Emblem Vault, 1.2 million. So pretty much close to 2 different $1 million products. I don't know how many companies have ever done that. And that's not, and none of those were off of trading fees. That is literally 99% of the industry is making money off trading fees. So congrats to Emblem. And then staking numbers look actually really good. 29.17% of the supply has been staked. 72K in rewards have been distributed. Not too many claims so far. So about 1,000 in claims. I suspect this will continue to creep up over time. I think Bobo is probably the most claimed one. Yeah. I think it's because the vesting hasn't been, or not enough vesting time is accrued. So for some of these tokens, it actually costs more to claim than it does, like to pay the claim fee than it does to actually, or the gas fee than it does to actually claim the token. Another thing also I was pushing updates here for Emblem wrapping service. I integrated OpenSea yesterday, so you can actually wrap and list. You have Gandhi and you have FWA, and it's kind of, and then the standard wrapping service, right? So you could kind of go across the board and then wraps and unwraps, and it's getting a lot of attention. So we'll see kind of how things continue, but we're getting people reaching out about art collections on ETH through Robinhood. Not just even Robinhood NFT collections, but artists have started reaching out. And it's truly just what we had thought about, 4 years ago in the beginning of the company. It was, or when Adam and I and Chris joined, which was, no shit, NFTs are going to be cross-chain. Like, that's how the world works. The world is literally NFTs. The phone that you have in your hand that you're listening to this, or the computer that you're talking on, the car that you drive, the art hanging in your house, the deed to your house, or pretty much anything, that you collect and own, that is essentially, an RWA, I guess it'd be like the classification. And in the real world, people ship cars, right, across the world. Companies work across the world. People travel. And I don't see why NFTs and crypto would be any different. And this is going to become a little bit more true now, but I was sounding crazy 4 years ago when I was like, the world, the international and domestic shipping industry is $7.5 trillion of GDP. It comes out to almost 10% of the world's GDP has to do with transportation, right? Or shipping. So whether this is like something like Amazon or your postal service or UPS or shipping containers, $1 in $10 that are made across the world has to do with shipping. And that's literally what Emblem is. So when I said this forever ago, that Emblem, if things continue, Emblem should be one of the most valuable companies in the industry if things continue to play out. I mean, that's, I think the thesis is starting to prove. Granted, $5 vault, $5 wrapping and unwrapping fees isn't going to get us there, but over time, more applications, more intelligence, more awareness, and more users will definitely get us to where we would have thought NFT interoperability would go.
Yeah, I mean, it's so obvious to us because we literally live it every single day, right? But Emblem is definitely like the star of the show. It's the North Star of the company. It's my favorite part of the company. It enables so much to so many different people. It's like, and you mentioned $5 vaults. They used to be $20, but that's like totally like Jevons paradox, literally in real time, where as price lowers, people find more use cases for the technology, and you actually end up with higher revenues than you would have because you have more use coming rather than if you would have if you just stayed higher pricing. So, man, just look at where we are today. There's one hot application that came about 2 weeks ago, and so people are moving assets from one blockchain to another. And right now it's Pokemon cards. Tomorrow it could be Birkin bags, watches, cars, anything that you can tokenize and ship all over the world. And taking custody of the token is much better than taking custody of the actual asset. There's a stat where like 80% of all fine art in the world is stored in off-share, basically like warehouses where they can be shipped everywhere in the world, but they're just there being held just because they're preserving their value. They're not for show. They're not on a showcase. They're not in a they're in a personal collection, but that collection is stored in an off-site warehouse, basically in like a tax-friendly jurisdiction. So tokenizing it, being able to move the token and the value around permissionlessly, across different blockchains as all these applications begin to rise up. I mean, there's no better place to be than the middleware, which is kind of what we are as Emblem Vault, the little pod that travels across blockchain.
Yeah, I was just going to layer. Sorry to cut you off. It's a little delayed here, but it's wild that we haven't even really seen. Like, obviously, FWA is the thing happening right now, but like people have contacted us about, hey, we're going to do, or we're already doing this on Solana, doing something similar, whatever. But you could just imagine if the hot thing happened on Robinhood next, for example, right? And there was some, reward mechanism happening on Robinhood. What's the quickest way I can get my punk over to Robinhood, right? And it's just, we're just in that really awesome spot, right? And I think like it feels like, we've been talking about this for a while, but it feels like in the last month or so, there's been this shift where people are like, holy shit, I can build this. And we saw it over the last couple of days. It's like multiple things built right on top of FWA in the last 3 days, right? And it just feels like it's accelerating. And it's just a matter of who's going to have the attention next. And those assets' ability to move across chains or wherever, it just feels like we're in a sweet, sweet spot right here.
Sweet, sweet spot. It's exciting. We put a post out earlier from the Emblem account just showing that we have support for now about 6 collections on Robinhood. 4 of these were listed on FWA. So Stonk Brokers, On-Chain Hoodies, Cash Cats, Bankr, Sprite Hoodio, and this one, Poppy or something, Piapi, have been added and can be wrapped. But we now have the tech to a place to where we can add these collections literally within a few minutes, pretty quickly. TokenWorks yesterday asked for 3 collections, and we had them live within like 30 minutes.
Used to take Shannon days and a lot of complaints. So Shannon is the happiest man on the planet.
Yeah, it feels pretty good. 2 of the collections weren't even asked, and we just did anyway, right? Bankr, which is Michael Hirsch's collection, so shout out to him. He's familiar with Emblem because we wrapped the ETH inscriptions to Emblem. The inscription collection is actually one of the most traded collections of all time. It has great. Now I could actually like check this stuff. ETH inscription, I think, was around like $1 million in trading volume. It's the 3rd most traded collection. So ETH inscription has 1.66 million trading volume. Rare Pepe has 6.81 million, and then the legacy collection is 93 million. So you're familiar. And then Sprite Hoodio is the former Pudgy Penguins founder's collection. Added it, figured people would be interested, but we can really support anything on Robinhood, whether you're creating a generative collection, you have an art collection, whatever you want to do. Obviously, we can do the same thing with ordinals. We support pretty much every main ordinals collection, from Pizza Ninjas, Taproot Wizards, Quantum Cats, Puppets, right? Node Monkeys. We have all of them. But if anyone wants a specific collection, right? You're an artist that has a 100-piece collection or whatever the case is, we can pretty much spin it up from any chain. We support counterparty ordinals stamps. That's on Bitcoin. We support ETH mainnet, right? So if you want to like wrap your CryptoPunk or you have an art collection, we support stacks. That's also Bitcoin. And then on the L2 space, Base, Robinhood. We also support Solana. So pretty much anything, honestly, at this point. Just feel free to reach out to us and you could try some cool things. I actually was talking with the hoodies, On-Chain Hoodies founder yesterday. They reached out. It was kind of interesting day yesterday. We launched support for 2 different Robinhood collections. One founder was really upset about it, and then another founder was like, wow, this is super cool. So the On-Chain Hoodie guys thought it was super cool. I reached out to us. Turns out that most of these Robinhood collections that are being created are what's called ERC 6551, which is actually just like it's almost like an Emblem Vault, almost exactly the same. It's an NFT that owns a wallet. That's literally what Emblem Vault is an NFT on any chain that owns a multi-chain wallet from any chain. So theirs is just much more specific, right? It's a Robinhood NFT that owns a Robinhood wallet. So that's how like stockbrokers and on-chain hoodies and all this stuff. Stockbrokers is doing a lot more DeFi oriented things, where on-chain hoodies seems to be doing stuff a little bit more surrounding identity. But as I was talking with the founder, he was like, oh, this is super cool because, and this is how we always thought, he was like, oh, this is cool because if somebody wraps a hoodie, if we just airdrop things to the hoodie's wallet, then whoever unwraps that hoodie gets everything that came with it. And we're like, yeah. He was like, wow, this is super cool. And he was like, what else can you do? And then I said, we have Bitcoin wallets and Robinhood wallets. So he was like, oh, so if we wrap a hoodie, then basically the hoodie can have a wallet for every chain. I was like, yeah. It's like, whoa, that's crazy. So I think we're gonna talk with them down in the future about something. On the other side of things, the stockbroker founder quite upset about the wrapped collection. He publicly on the timeline, we had asked him if he wanted a wrapped collection, and then he said the blockchain's permissionless. So then we deployed it, and he threatened to start censoring all of the stockbrokers that were bridging over, even going so far to threaten freezing the transfer function on the stockbrokers themselves. I thought that was actually kind of crazy, but ultimately it comes down to, that's their decision. And I'm going to be completely honest here. Even if you froze the transfer function, that still wouldn't prevent somebody from vaulting, because you could just import the private key, right? That's not a transfer. So it's really kind of a losing battle there. But ultimately, his concern is that he says the main function for stockbrokers is the royalties. He literally says the royalties keep the flywheel going, right? So, I'll let people kind of think about that for a second. And what happens if the flywheel stops, right? It sounds pretty similar to a lot of other types of things that have been created, but I'm happy for the stockbrokers' success. I saw that they were like putting in there's like a Bloomberg article, and OpenSea and stuff is really supporting them. So it's cool because they've really reignited NFTs. And Robinhood, I saw, just has overtaken ETH as the chain with most NFT trading volume all time. Adam, what do you think about Robinhood NFTs, and then also stockbrokers? You're talking with the community a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, I was a bit stunned, and we talked offline about this. A bit stunned by his reaction, especially when his initial tweet to the idea, which I think maybe Chris proposed to him, was blockchain is permissionless, right? Which became this meme. It's like, is it really permissionless though, if you're going to take away the royalties? And it's funny that it's like, I even went into their Discord, and I was like, try and learn from what happened in 21, which is like this idea of trying to protect your royalty or whatever is a losing battle. Better to maintain a more open stance, permission, and allow people to build on top of you and do interesting things on top of you to keep the flywheel going, rather than try and close yourself down to try and protect a royalty stream that's probably going to go away over time anyway. And especially with everything so short-lived here in crypto, I mean, especially with this sort of stuff, it's like, bro, this shit could be gone by next week. So I think it's a losing battle. But I mean, I guess my question is the only way he could really do it would be basically tagging an individual NFT that has gone through an emblem vault, and then somehow like basically blocking that one in some way. I don't even know how that's really possible, other than just like manually not allowing royalties to flow to that NFT. Is that like the only way he could really do it?
That's my thought. So he first threatened, well, up here on the screen, I just put where Chris asked if he wanted to, Chris said, people requesting we vault stockbrokers, thoughts? And then he responds and says, blockchain is permissionless. And then we go and add the collection, and FWA does. And then in his chat, he goes and says, if anybody is going to bridge to ETH, then I'm going to censor the NFT in that collection. And so we saw that a bunch of people were sending us those screenshots. Adam, who's based in a decentralized maxi that he is, which is awesome. Right. He went and bought a stockbroker and deposited it into FWA. I know the Ethereum crowd really loved it. You could see it in the posts, right? Everyone who's on ETH mainnet is like the ETH artists and stuff are, very curated towards decentralization. One thing that I've learned in this space is never try to fight the decentralized maxis. It's a losing battle. You won't win. Even on Bitcoin, right? Bitcoin, although they've kind of turned the tide in terms of like the censorship for span, but BIP 110 ultimately lost on Bitcoin, right? That's like the decentralized people winning. On ETH, it's the same way, just a little bit of a different form. And so he went and bought the stockbroker, said, bought a stockbroker and deposited it to test myself. The power of building on EVM is being able to do things like this. Got a lot of engagement, 20,000 views. And then Adam said, somebody commented and said, thanks for taking this stockbroker off the market.
Right. Like, thanks for burning your NFT, right? And reducing supply.
Yeah. He said Simple Farmers putting down the law of not allowing it to come back in the plans. And then Adam comes in and quote tweets where he says blockchain is permissionless and says, he said it was fine last week, but also blocking transfers of a specific NFT goes against what this place is built on, decentralization and permissionless. I would hate to see him try to go this route, especially when the goal isn't to circumvent ecosystem fees. And then Simple Farmer comes in and says, I'm not going to leave your NFT or anyone else who bridges stranded. I just consider a gotcha a form of a sale when the NFTs won. And I request royalties to be honored for when these are winnings. Good luck, sir. And all of the best. So, I could kind of address a few points to it. Everyone's entitled to their own decisions. Crypto is blockchain Legos. We saw this last cycle. Anybody who tried to fight people circumventing fees, that issue just becomes larger and larger. Emblem had an enforced royalty of 2.5% on sales, and people were circumventing it consistently, going through lending platforms or private sales or whatever. And ultimately, how that works is the more attention you put on it, the more likelihood it is that everyone else is just going to follow and do it. So his concerns that people are going to wrap and circumvent his fees. And now he said that he wants royalties to be honored for third-party platforms where they're sold. That's going to be really hard to enforce. I don't think people are even considering circumventing fees, but now people are actually aware of it, right? That they can do that. So I don't know if that'll happen now or later, but ultimately it's a losing battle. In terms of him saying that he was going to censor the contract address, I think maybe he realized, or maybe he hasn't realized, that if you censor the stockbroker wrapped collection, that's not going to do anything, because an emblem vault, is essentially a tokenized wallet, right? Like literally it's what a stockbroker is, right? It's a tokenized wallet. And the wallet inside of the vault is not generated until the vault is created. So there's no way for him to censor the vault address until the stockbroker is already inside of it. And at that point, if he freezes the token ID, right, of that stockbroker with a vault, you can obviously, we have a sweeping feature where you could send it to a wallet and make it easy. But if you go the old school method, you just take the private key and import it into a new wallet, and there's no transfer ever there. So then the user is back to the blockchain. The Robinhood NFT never leaves Robinhood. To the blockchain, it's still on Robinhood, right? But to everyone else and how it's trading, it's on ETH. So, ultimately I think it's a losing battle if you continue to fight it. But, we're here to work with you. So if somebody from the stockbroker team sees this, then we're open to talking with you. It's the same thing that happened with Collector Crypt. Collector Crypt put out a thing saying that they weren't a big fan of wrapped assets. They said to reach out. We reached out, and they haven't given us a response. They actually, so much with Collector Crypt, we followed up, and I said, I'm reaching out to you guys because of this. And they said, what do you want? And I said, I'm following up because you said to reach out. And they're like, well, what do you want? I was like, you said to reach out. What do you mean? So, these people, these teams, but, both of them are successful, and I understand they're trying to, keep their closed garden tight, and to each their own. But, we're willing to talk to anybody from any team about any situation and come to an agreement or maybe a disagreement. But alone, if I'm happy to share how all of it works. So if you could try to censor it in any way that you see fit, although I don't agree with it, this is literally the free market on chain. So pretty much anything goes at this point in time. And the only way that you can actually figure it out is if the two teams talk to each other well enough. We're always willing to talk. It doesn't seem like either of those teams are willing to talk, as they blocked Adam out of the Discord, the farmer Discord.
Yeah.
And Collector Crypt refuses to respond.
Literally, and I was trolling in that I was using, the blockchain is permissionless. I was saying that, kind of after every thing I was saying, but I was not being outrageous or crazy or anything in there at all. Like, you can actually, if you want to go in, you can see unless they've deleted my posts in there.
I think when you get blocked,
I was not like,
I think
when you get
blocked
in any sort of way, other than I don't think you're going to be able to block, the wrapping and unwrapping from happening.
Yeah. So wrapping will continue until morale improves.
Yeah. That was my last.
That was
my last post. I think that one got me out. I mean, yeah, it's interesting because in a lot of ways, I think you bump up against teams and people who actually don't know. Maybe we don't give ourselves enough credit that we're deeply into stuff that people just don't even know about. Right? They have no idea what it even is. Right? People were in the Discord saying, "Oh, good luck bridging back," and I'm like, bro, you guys don't even know what you're talking about, right? I didn't answer them, but in my brain I'm saying, like, they don't even know what we are, right? They have no clue. And so yeah, it's interesting, and it's just this really fun position to be in. And I mean, reality is we want to support people doing stuff like this, and this, we feel like it actually supports stonk brokers. Like, it widens the number of people who know about it, widens access, right? The ability to bring it cross-chain and stuff. This only enhances the potential for stonk brokers. But yeah, we'll see how it plays out.
Yeah, I mean, it was like light trolling a little bit, but I mean, at the end of the day, respect everything that, he's built over there with stonk brokers. But why wouldn't you want to give people another avenue to get access to these assets that can't afford them? And why wouldn't you want them to travel and be more integrated in multiple ecosystems? And it just kind of goes against like the general ethos of crypto, which is why we're all here. When you own an asset, that was really the breakthrough, the innovation here. When you own an asset, you truly own the asset. It's in your wallet. And so when you go forward and you bring up maybe censoring or excluding royalties or revenues from someone's individual asset, that goes against literally everything that we're trying to build here, and that we've been building here. So I think that just like more education, more widespread knowledge about how a lot of these things work. And maybe he's under a lot of pressure. Obviously, he's probably pretty euphoric. He's had a breakthrough collection. Maybe he's not thinking his most level head, but people really in this industry do not like when you try and mess with their individual assets. So just in general, you can maybe try and tease at a collection level, but when you break down to messing with people's individual assets, that's like completely crossing the line, basically to anyone that's in this industry. So as always, another interesting day in the Emblem Vault ecosystem. You never know what you're going to get.
Never a dull day. Rest of the ecosystem, before we start diving into some more news topics, I see your boy Blue has been putting out some good content here. He said he came out with this meme. I messaged this guy, whoever runs this account, to say, hey, if you need some help or whatever, like, we're here. He put this out today, basically saying, you launch on Solana instead of Robinhood. Your boy Blue heard of Migrate Fund, and then with a good meme. And so it kind of leads to like a good question of, should we offer migrations to Robinhood? We're currently offering wrapping services from Robinhood NFTs to ETH, but now we could go vice versa, where we can offer migrations from Base, from Solana, across Robinhood to Robinhood, right? And then we'll have kind of our foot in two different industries over there: the Launchpad AMM industry, and then the NFTs. Those are the two biggest ones. So I think that I would be bullish. At some point in time, this will actually have an effect on the token price, but until then, the emblem token maintains itself as a stable coin at 4.3 million until one day it doesn't. It's always how crypto works. It's stable for 6 months, and then all of a sudden the right person talks about it, the right product hits, the right volume, something of that nature. Market resumes up. Solana starts going up, right? So everything goes up, something like that. But crazy that 29, almost 30% of the whole supply staked, and that thing didn't even move at all after all these different products. So, we'll continue to grind on. I think one of the most interesting stories that I've seen outside of NFTs and FWA is this Bankr and Sushi collab to take on Uniswap. So yesterday, Bankr announced that, well, they announced like a week or two ago that they were working with Sushi to take on Uniswap. It appears that Deployer has a disdain for Uniswap's approach of trying to cannibalize the full stack without basically having the culture in mind. It's very similar to what we were talking about on the last show, where the issue with ETH is that a lot of the existing leaders have this man in the high castle mentality, that they're better for everyone. And they think that since they've been around for a long time and they have a lot of money and branding power and stuff, that they could just continue to do the status quo and eat everything. So Deployer came out, and a few days ago, they announced that they were doing pools.fun, which I think is a take on Uniswap's Robinhood launchpad that was called like, what was it, Toad.fun or Lily.fun or something like that. Maybe it was pools in general. So Bankr, again, if you remember it, kind of the Bankr history here, Bankr was originally deployed on Clanker, right? That's the Bankr token. It was deployed on Clanker. So he doesn't get any of the fees, I think. And it was fully distributed. Eventually, when Bankr got attention through the OpenClaw era, then they left Clanker, worked with Doppler to create their own launchpad. So now they're going back down. They're going down the stack this time. Last time we were talking about Pump Fund going up the stack, or I guess Pump Fund did the same thing as well, right? They were a bonding curve launchpad. Then they went down to the Deployer then is working with Sushi to do the same type of model here. The one thing that took, I think, everyone by surprise is that he said that there was going to be a second token, a new token for this protocol. So Sushi's not using Sushi. Bankr's not using Bankr. They're using something else. He came out and said 30% all protocol fees are going back to buyback and burn. There's going to be an airdrop. There's going to be a point system. Your trading volume and volume on coins deployed by you in the protocol matter. The Bankr community, it originally pumped this news. It went, if you look at the price here over the last 7 days, you could see on the announcement, it went up like 10, like maybe 5% or so. And then it just got destroyed 30% down, and it's recovering a little bit. It's currently at 27 mil. It was at around, let's see, let me do this by market cap. It was around like 32 million, and then it dropped down to 25. Now it's kind of stabilized at 27. And Bankr community does not seem happy about it. I did see Michael Lee supporting the Bankr team, and I understand, both positions. It's really tough, I'd say the least, but I think we're going to see a little bit of a fracture here in the Bankr ecosystem. Adam, what's your take on this emerging play here? Is it possible for Deployer to manage two different tokens? Can Sushi manage two different tokens? Will it get traction? Can they take on Uniswap? And what's this mean for Bankr token?
Yeah, it's funny. I almost think that when I was thinking about it today, and I'm like, well, who's done similar stuff? And I'm thinking, my mind goes to Frank D. Gods, right? Where it's like, you start with an NFT, then you do a fungible, then you do another NFT collect, and you just do this, like, the continual drop mechanism. And I'm not saying that's what Bankr is doing necessarily, but it's almost like you can't outrun your token. Like it's almost like even if it's just one token, even if you're hyper successful, your pump fund, right? You're the most successful app maybe in the history of crypto. And in reality is you still can't maintain your token price, right? The market is it just wants to always speculate on new items and maybe or new tokens. And maybe the smarter strategy long term, and I'm not saying it's like there's definitely no smart strategy because almost everything just runs to zero anyway. So there's no like nobody's figured this out. But maybe this sort of strategy is like everybody knows Bankr's a legit project. They build legit stuff. It's real. But the strategy is, well, we launched this new product and the new product gets a new token. And if you don't like it, tough shit. And guess what? It's going to get a lot of attention on Robinhood, no doubt. There may be an awesome run in that token. And there's this speculation that, hey, maybe some of that reward will go to existing Bankr holders. And I think Emily's post kind of pointed that out a little bit. Like maybe there is, well, shoot, maybe I should buy a little Bankr because maybe it is on discount. And I guess the end of the day, I don't really know, but I think part of Deployer's strategy here is just simply, look, we're not going to be scared of new tokens. We're going to support our original Bankr holders and token holders. And hopefully he can create some interesting mechanics around that. But we're not going to be afraid to launch new tokens with new products. And I don't know, maybe that's the new model. So I don't know. The answer at the end of the day, I don't know. I think he's bumped up against the reality of the market. And he's just said that, you know what, we're going to launch new tokens. And if you don't like it, you don't have to participate. And I think that's kind of where the industry is moving.
Shout out to Deployer. Name checks out. Deploying.
Hey.
I mean, it's a fate that has plagued every crypto founder ever. We were in a tough position with many tokens in the past. I'm happy to say that we only have Emblem. I don't want another token. Jake, maybe if you're still on Emblem scan, maybe pull up your brilliant chart and we'll go give our tokens. I think that we can probably segue there for a quick minute if you'd like. But the name of the game is to have one token and to focus all your energy into that token. No matter how big you are, it's very hard to split your resources. You know, your attention in general is scarce. You can only take care of so many different communities. I'm not saying he's not going to be successful, but I'm saying he's fighting an uphill battle. And yeah, I mean, no community member likes to see that the team launched another token. That is like the number one sin in crypto. You wake up and you say, oh my goodness, you gotta be kidding me. Like you had to do nothing. All you had to do was do nothing. And instead you did the one thing that we didn't want you to do. You launched another token. So as someone who's been around for a very long time and who ourselves have had tokens, and we're in the position where we're like, we wanted to do a dual token system, but we just realized how chaotic and crazy it could be. And just we've been through all of those emotions and all those mindsets and all those strategies before. I'm very happy to say that we only have the Emblem token, and that is our only focus.
Pulled up here a chart that shows the entire token lineage. Emblem has gone through many different phases. I started out as Ribbit Rewards in 2014. Shannon, our founder, actually CTO'd it, but he CTO'd back then. This was before Ethereum. CTO'd a layer 1 blockchain at the time. Much different than it is asking Pump Fund to CTO, and they just changed the creator fees. This is like taking over literally an L1. CTO'd it.
Who did he submit the creator rewards switch fee to? Who did he send the email to? Like
actually, to actually CTO at layer 1 is actually have to pay to CTO it, right? Because you have all the nodes and the miners and the energy consumption to it. So you actually have to pay to take it over.
I guess Bitcoin was the first CTO. I don't know. The founder disappeared on that one. Haven't seen him since. The community really inherited that chain. But Ribbit Rewards to Koval might be the very first CTO in crypto. And other than Bitcoin, probably the longest standing CTO. That's a crazy part of the lore. That's probably true. I mean, no way of really checking, but assume that that's probably true.
A CTO migration too, right? So as Ribbit Rewards, and he migrated it to Koval C, which is a counterparty on Bitcoin. That lasted a few years. Token went up to like 13 or 14 million. I believe Koval at one point was like a top 100 coin on CoinMarketCap at one point. And then took a dive, then migrated over to Koval on Ethereum when Ethereum became a little bit more mature in 2019. That's literally the depths of one of the worst bear markets ever, 2019. And rode that, and then Koval ran all the way up to 150 million. It got listed on Coinbase at one point in time, and then had a bunch of different pumps to 100 million and I think like 50 million. Once it got delisted off of Coinbase, that was game over for that coin. And then we had a Tensorium, right? And we started the Koval migration that lasted pretty much throughout the lifespan of Tensorium. Tensorium ran from 0 to 20 mil, fell back down, ran back up to like 18 mil, came back down, migrated to Hustle, which is on Solana. Tensorium was on Solana. Hustle went from 2 million to 40 million, kind of bounced around there, took a dive all the way down to like 600K or something, or 700K, something like that. And then we completed the next migration over to Emblem. And it's been pretty much flat. It's been literally a stable coin, pumped to like 8 million. And it's just been ranging between 3 and 6 million for like the last few months. But that looks like a gigantic coil that's happening at some point in time. Market's down. Honestly, these are like the type of charts that you want to buy. Like when you're a trader and you realize the market is coming out of a bear market, you look for the coins that have been consolidating for 6 to 12 months and that have been pretty much range bound, because those are the ones that are generally gonna pump the highest. Go, if you want like a crazy chart, go look at Dogecoin, Doge BTC, and it range bound between, I think it was like 50 sats and 15 sats for basically 7 years or 8 years, and then it runs from 20 sats all the way up to like 2,000 sats or something like that. It did like 100x appreciation against Bitcoin. That just like never happens. And there's a lot of coins that are like that. So, yeah, keep fighting on. Dual tokens, very tough. I hope that he can manage it, but splitting it is really tough. Maybe potential candidate for migration at some point here.
How do you think it went? Like,
we're gonna migrate Bankr, okay, Adam?
Guys, like, how do you think that convo goes? Like, what do they? How do you think they come up with it? Like, what do you think? How do you think that goes down?
I think we're gonna migrate Bankr in like 6 months from now. So that's good. That's gonna be. That's my. I'm gonna put a prediction on that. What do you say?
I could Bankr going to Robinhood.
Mm-hmm. That makes sense. I mean, at this point in time, if you're doing like a dual token system, you're basically saying Base is like you're leaving Base, right? Because you're gonna go focus on Robinhood. If they go launch the token, they can migrate the holders over. The holders will be happy. Soon we'll have an announcement for dual token migrations, which is something we're going to be doing here pretty soon with one project. And reach out to us. I mean, we've reached out to them before. It's always our competitors. It's always our competitors. They just like
could happen. Like with Bankr, they're going to have this new token where you can do these multiple tokens merging into one kind of migration system. Could get kind of interesting down the road.
Yeah, we'll see. That's a candidate. But Adam, what were you asking earlier about thoughts or something? Thoughts in the room, something like that you were saying?
What was I talking about? Man, I don't know. My brain's firing.
I think
Sushi and Bankr was like when they were going to team up to launch a new token together.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Sorry. Sushi. Yeah, Sushi. How you think that convo went when, deployers talking to the Sushi team and they're like, should we do a new token together? I mean, it must have been kind of like, how would you, like, honestly, I mean, obviously we're like, man, it's probably crazy, like to come up and decide, hey, let's both do a new token together. Like, how do you think that conversation went? It must have been strange to have that combo.
I bet you they're probably looking at FWA and they're saying, wow, look how he started this protocol with a new token using some sort of token emissions. Maybe they do the same thing and they turn off the buy button, something like that to build hype. I bet you they're looking at that and thinking, we need a new token to basically onboard liquidity. They both know their systems better. My personal thought is Bankr has the attention and community, and Sushi has the infrastructure and capital. You would think like they would be able to come up with a different GTM strategy for that. Or maybe they say, hey, let's just burn both of our tokens and just start fresh. Maybe they're trying to keep it as something independent. Maybe they thought that's the only way that they can really take on Uniswap is with a new token. Maybe they even had conversations about merging together. Like if I was them in this situation, it probably would have gone a lot better if it was like, hey, we're becoming one company and we're doing a new token. Like that probably would have pumped the price. Like that probably would have done like a 2x in like
that would
24 hours.
Yeah, that's a good call.
Right. Because people like that. Like if you're merging or you're like doing an acquisition or something of that nature, and then you say there's going to be a new token that's spawned because of that, that makes sense for everyone, right? Because then the holders are going to be like, oh, Sushi's market cap is 100 million, Bankr's market cap is 30 million. So if we combine these together, split the token, whatever it is, ratios, and you can do all this, and you can be like, oh, right, there's going to be some sort of like unification here. People like that. But a split, it's going to be tough, man. I mean, if you look at the history of companies that have been able to manage two tokens, it's literally zero. There's attempts for people trying, but
what was like the best one you can think of where somebody ran a couple tokens and actually?
Well, one of the recent examples you could look at is Prime and Prompt, or Parallel, or whatever it is, right? The Wayfinder team. They also have a gaming company called, is it Parallel or Prime Parallel, something like that. I don't think they've done a good job trying to manage both of those and split their time. Community just gets way too confused. Maybe I was gonna say Bitfinex with the Leo token, but they didn't have another token. It was just Leo, and that was like more of like we're trying to bail ourselves out of this exploit hole. I really don't have any examples. There's probably someone in like DeFi Summer that was able to do this. I don't know, Chris, do anyone come to mind? A company that was able to do two tokens at once? I guess Venice is doing two, right? Venice has VVV and what's with Diem?
Yeah, I was going to say some DAO structures, maybe something like that.
That's probably the only one I can think of. Chris, can you think of any historically?
No, not really. Just thinking of like like a Dash node, and how like every single thing just ran to absolute zero every time an NFT launched their token. It literally just ran directly to zero. There's a lot of those hybrids, NFTs to tokens. It's a tough game, man. It's a tough game. But, at the end of the day, it's also, the tokens aren't just for selling. They're actually for buying. And so I saw the other day, like if a company is not willing to buy their own token, why would they expect anyone else to buy it? And that's like a belief that I have. As like a protocol, as your protocol grows, you should become the biggest net buyer of your token and then find new ways to distribute it, whether it's through more marketing and growth or burning or whatever it might be. But if a company is not buying their own token, no one else should be buying that token, in my opinion. And if all they do is launch more tokens, well, then that's even worse, right? They're just selling you more tokens. They're not buying any of them. So in order to have like truly aligned incentives, the protocol and the companies need to be buying their own tokens in the biggest batches. So I think that's something you can expect from Emblem. Obviously, as we continue to grow, our revenues will continue to grow and our token will continue to grow. We've always been transparent about it. It's completely obvious. There's nothing in the dark about it. Don't be surprised when we once again become the biggest buyer of Emblem token.
Yep, pretty much. I mean, we've done 1,000 Solon buybacks already. If revenue increases, we will buy more. That's pretty much how it works. When we were making revenue and had some excess capital, we spent it on buybacks, and we'll continue to do it when the time is appropriate. I wish them the best. I really do hope it works out for them. But we will see. I think maybe last topic for today, we could dive back into FWA. There's been some really cool products that are being built on FWA. I saw Eric Connor created something called I think it's like the Arena, something like that. It's where 4 people can pay for a spin, and then it's winner take all, I think, by the person who pulls the most valuable card, I believe is what it is. That's pretty cool. Then there's the big rip, which is basically crowdsourcing funds to pull as many rips as possible and then split the revenue sources. So this one by Eric's called Gotcha Battle. So built on FWA. And then Yuga Labs has their own version, which is kind of interesting. It's more of like a farming protocol. I think it was called FWAP, right? Like TWAP. But with FWAP, it's basically people pooling floor deposits. And then basically you're hoping that those floor deposits by luck stay in, because the longer you deposit, the more FWA you farm. So if you pool together a bunch of floor assets, I think it's like after 2 days or so, it becomes a positive return. And right, the amount of backing you put is basically the luck level or probability that will be pooled. And then people split all of the farming rewards afterwards. So you have 3 different ones that are being built. I'm sure there's going to be a lot more. They just deployed to East Sepolia testnet network, so people can go design different things around it, which is pretty cool. But overall, I think I put this tweet out yesterday, but I said FWA is the ordinals of this cycle. RWAs are the meme coins. Robinhood is the Solana, and gotchas are the launch pads. And what I meant by ordinals or FWAs the ordinals is it's basically an on-chain protocol that has to do with NFTs, honestly, right? And it brings everyone kind of back to the chain. There was no doubt in my mind, ordinals brought everybody back to Bitcoin and created this multi-billion-dollar funding frenzy and products and stuff, right? Ended up with like runes and BRC20 and all these other derivatives. And FWA is doing something similar. You have people building on top of it, and NFTs from all chains are coming to FWA through Emblem. All of the big companies are wanting to participate in it. It's got a huge amount of support. And if this is the beginning of the cycle, right, you're going to see probably 2 years of experimentation on this type of protocol. And there's already a bunch of gotchas. That's a decentralized gotcha. All the RWA card companies like Courtyard and BZ and Collector Crypt, who just hit $1 billion in gross revenue, also have gotcha machines. But if you remember the Launchpad wars that are still going on now, 3 years later, by the way, there was a bunch of different types of launchpads that have been released. Pump Fund obviously being first, but there's been, I guess you call it like Ponzi launchpads, where it's like the one token, like all the fees go back to buying the token. There's meme launchpads, there's startup launchpads, right? There's all these different varieties. And no doubt we're going to see the same exact thing with the NFT application era, which we've been talking about for the last 2 years or so.
Bro, it's going to get awesome. It's really amazing, what Adam's done over there, and how a couple tweaks to mechanisms and tokenomics can just reignite the crypto space. So you got to give Adam credit. And I know people were shitting on him because he's had a bunch of failed projects, no doubt. But dude's had 2 winners in 6 months. It's incredible. You have to, tip your cap to Adam for making it happen and reignite it. Like, this is what everybody wants. Everybody wants something new, exciting, using existing assets, which is even more exciting. I think that's kind of a maturity of crypto, where we have these assets already. Yeah, there's going to be infinite new assets, but how can I use my existing assets is very fun, exciting. Rather than just, if you think about Merlin chain, it was just, stake your fucking, bitmaps, right? But this is something more than that. And it's only going to ramp up and rev up from here. I think Adam's unlocked something that people are waking up to. And it's obviously going to happen on every chain. They're going to do it on Robinhood and whatever. But I think building on top of it, we're seeing that accelerate here, and it's only going to get more and more layers on top very quickly here, I think.
Yeah, I think these are going to be on every chain. It's extremely obvious. The best way to move assets between each different chain is something like Emblem Vault. So definitely going to be like one of the silent winners that's caught in the crossfire of all these different gotcha wars, just like the Launchpad wars. But the best way to move those assets quickly to participate in these different ecosystems, and this is just the very beginning of different types of crypto apps and different reasons why you would want to move assets from blockchain to blockchain. Makes total sense. Really big fan of everything that Adam's doing. It's kind of like sometimes when you see a failed entrepreneur, it's best to bet on them a second time because they have so much experience going forward and launching these new innovative protocols, and almost like not in a derogatory way, but like more Ponzi-nomics and on-chain experimentation. Like that's what this industry was born from. And so really want to continue to support them. Really also unveiled how little motion is left in the Ethereum ecosystem. I mean, it's like the most innovative protocol that's happened in years. It taps into the meme community. It taps into the NFT community. It taps into even almost like the infrastructure community, and they can't get that past 30 million when, you know, a random meme coin of a cat launches to 30 million on Solana. Obviously bundles are different and fair launches are different, but I don't know, if you're an Ethereum maxi, if you're someone, even like someone like Tom Lee, like you should be buying some FWA. You should be supporting the most exciting thing that's happening on that blockchain in the past 5 years. So definitely revealed lack of motion, but maybe we'll see a resurgence of some motion on that chain. It would be nice.
Kind of interesting how migrations interweave launchpads together, and Emblem will interweave all the gotchas together. So found our home. It's what can Emblem do?
Wait, is this the are we calling this the gotcha cycle? Is this what's happening here?
Or whatever? Yeah, I mean, we remember. I don't know if people remember, but a year and a half ago when we went to ETH Denver, we came back from ETH Denver and we said we were building a multi-chain NFT app. And it is pretty similar to what everyone else has built. And that was way before everything happened. So we were way early on it. The reason why we didn't release it is because Migrate Fund took off. And that was like a revenue generator. And we were like, NFTs really aren't there yet. So, you know, we'll probably release it at some point here in the future when the time is right. And as NFTs continue to grow, because this is literally just the beginning here. But Emblem's a logistics company. It's literally what it's been this entire time. We have an AI terminal in the Launchpad now and a lot of different cool ideas. We're literally sitting at the intersection and the crossroads of intelligence and interoperability on chain. So there's a lot of cool stuff that we can continue to do. As if the market if Bitcoin ever does something, then maybe we'll full send here, and Emblem token can thrive. But we'll wrap it up here today. It's been a good day. It's a good Thursday. We're going to continue to grind out. A shout out to all of our builders. Shout out to the horse team that's getting ready for a PFP mint here at some point in the future. Got Luna down in the crowd that I think is also doing an NFT mint. Your boy Blue and Virtual Growth and all these teams out here who are continuing to grind. And for those that we have talked with who said they're going to launch with Emblem, but are continuing to build, waiting for the moment, whatever it is, we'll continue to be here and have a lot of fun. Until then, everyone have a fun and safe weekend, and we'll see you guys back here next Tuesday.
Later, good.